to go. Okay, great. Well, thank you all for coming and welcome. It's good to see so many faces, some new ones, some who have been here before. Tonight is going to be a fun adventure, and it's a collaboration. The Watering Can, which is a nonprofit, started to support artists. And then Art South Dakota is here, and they have 30 participants. Well, Jody signed up too, so 29 participants who are joining us via Zoom from across the state. So we're not just local tonight, we're all of South Dakota. So I wanted to welcome Art South Dakota as well, and we'll get into our speaker in a little bit. But thank you to Art South Dakota for making this possible, to reach out to virtually, people across the state. It's terrific. So the Watering Can has been supporting local artists since 2015. And we have a few organizations to thank tonight. One, we are fiscally sponsored by the Sioux Falls Arts Council, so we appreciate their support. We received a grant to be able to do this from the Sioux Falls Community Foundation, so we appreciate their support as well. And Jerry Cook, who came through one of the early phases of the Watering Can, when he was working on this space, he's the owner of Ray Feltz, came down and said, Claudia, I was upstairs at the restaurant, could you come down and take a look? So he showed me this place when it was still in the works and said, do you think you could use this? And it's like, yes, we can use this space. So thank you to Jerry and to Ray Feltz for allowing us to be here as well. So at this point, I'd like to have Andrew from Art South Dakota say a few words, and he will be able to connect to his audience as well.
Thanks, Claudia. Just troubleshooting live here, so it's all good. It's how it always goes with technology. So thank you all. It's really good to see so many faces I know and a lot of faces I don't know, and so great to have a lot of you online as well. And really looking forward to hearing from actually one of our board members on Art South Dakota's board, as well as, I don't know, I think if you're an arts organization, Jim Mathis has either been on your board or been involved at some point. So. For those of you who don't know who we are, Art South Dakota is the statewide arts service and advocacy organization. So we're here to support the work that artists and arts organizations are doing all around the state, as well as advocating at local, state, and national levels for funding for the arts and support for the arts. We have a number of really exciting webinars coming up, and we're really grateful to be able to partner with the Watering Can on this one. So you can always look at our webpage for additional opportunities for webinars. Of particular interest for individual artists, we have an arts opportunities page where all of the calls for art, grant openings, all of the information that we receive, we collect there and try to organize into a fashion that hopefully you can find stuff that's applicable to your discipline and to your work. And then also we have the arts calendar where you can find a lot of arts events, and as you have arts events and gallery showings, definitely please submit your events there and we'll get it shared out to the statewide audience. Yeah, so that's about all I have. Just for the online audience, I just wanted to let you know that there'll be some kind of networking and talking a little bit at the beginning here, but we'll have some information coming via the chat for you, and I'll have some more information there, and I will hand it back over to Claudia now. Thanks.
Well, I think that you all came for many reasons, but we have a really great program tonight, and I'm pleased that you are here because I think we're going to hear some great information. Jim Mathis, who has been mentioned tonight a couple times about his support for the arts in the community. Jim is a certified advertologist. I think he created that term for his company called ADwërks, and he is also the principal. Jim makes the rounds in the arts community, as you've heard. He's definitely instrumental in a sculpture walk, which has now been put up again with Jim's help in more ways than one. And actually, Jim and I met through serving on the board at the VAC, the Visual Arts Center at the Washington Pavilion. He's now a trustee, is that correct, at the Pavilion? And from there, he's gone on to many positions within the arts, but he's also on the board, as Andrew mentioned, for Art South Dakota. I always like to get into a little bit of things that we might not know about a person, because somebody like this has a great resume or biography. So I asked Jim a couple questions, and one I thought explained some things very helpfully. He grew up in a round house in Des Moines, but the interesting thing is the round house. So I think that explains some of the quirks that have been noticed over the years. So take them as they are. Favorite art purchase, and I really like this one. You know, I have a big thing about art is an emotional purchase, and there was a exhibit at the pavilion, and it was student artists, and there was a piece that Jim's wife fell in love with, and it was called The Money Bear. And I'm sorry, but I didn't bring the picture, but Jim did send one. It literally was like a teddy bear, but made out of bills. So you can get a good visual. And his wife just raved about this. So Jim made arrangements to purchase it. And they are both so in love with the money bear that they have decided if the house were to burn, you know, catch on fire, it is one of the pieces that would definitely have to come out with them. So please join me in welcoming Jim tonight. We appreciate his time.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. It's nice to see some friendly faces, some people I recognize here, and some new people that I've gotten to know as well. So we're going to go through just a kind of a quick, fairly short presentation, but I want to give you some kind of social media tips, things that you can use to kind of help promote your own art through social media. And if you could advance that one. So quick introduction of myself. I started ADwërks 24 years ago. I've been in the advertising business for 35 plus years. So why is this old guy here talking about new social media? Well, the principles of social media and social media marketing are really the same as all of the other marketing and advertising that I've done for all of these years. And tonight, because we kind of have a short timeline, I'm really going to focus on Facebook and Instagram, but a lot of the things that I'll tell you would work on Twitter or TikTok, or whatever the next new thing is that comes along. So if you want to go ahead and advance that. So here are the three little tips I'm going to cover. Promote yourself and your art business. Make sure you really engage your audience. I'll give you some tips about that. And then the third one is just a reminder that rising tides lifts all boats. So there's a chance for us to help each other as artists and creators. So the first question is Facebook or Instagram? And I think when I talk to a lot of artists, they think visually, and Instagram seems like the natural. But why would you also do Facebook? And I'll give you a quick example here why you would use Facebook. This is the Sculpture Walk social media accounts for Instagram and Facebook. The blue is Facebook only. The orange is Instagram only. And there's only about 5% that overlap and follow Facebook on both Facebook and Instagram, so follow Sculpture Walk. So that's why it's important. You're going to have different audiences on those two platforms, even though they're both, Mark Zuckerberg. They really are different, and you can use them differently, but you can also use them to work together. And for those lucky 5% of the folks who see both, they're just getting 2 hits of your beautiful art, so that's a good thing. So when I say promote yourself and your business, you really need to be creating have your own personal Facebook and Instagram account, the one you've probably already got. But if you haven't already done so, create a page, not a profile, for your business. You know, I know Steve has one for his art specifically, and he shares things on both places. You can see things in both places, but by doing things as the art business, it kind of helps to separate things a little bit, and it gives you greater control. So your personal profile, you know, that's a mix of everything. It's the good, it's the bad, it's what you did on Friday night, it's, you know, your friends tagging you in posts that you may rather they didn't tag you in. So if you have something set up just for your business, your art business, and we should all think about the art we create and sell as a business, that gives you more focus. You can focus really on your art there, and it also gives you a lot more control. When you're putting things out through your Facebook page, your business profile, the Meta Business Suite that you have access to because you set it up as a business gives you a lot more tools behind the scene. So you can schedule those posts out. So you may be, you know, like Steve, you're in your studio 7 days a week. When do you have time to post all these things on social media? You can sit down and in a half an hour, schedule out 3 posts for this week, 3 posts for next week, 3 posts for the week after that, and they'll just run when you want them to run. So we'll get more into that as we go a little bit further here. So here's a couple of examples of some business and personal profiles. So everybody probably knows Jennifer White. If you're involved in art in Sioux Falls and you don't know Jennifer White, you need to get to know her. She's just a bundle of energy and tons of fun. But she also has post-pilgrim galleries. So here, she posted the same piece on her personal page and on post-pilgrim gallery page. So she's getting a 1-2 punch there. Now, she posted these pretty quickly in succession. So as I'm scrolling through my feed, I see both of them kind of at the same time. I would recommend that you separate those out. So post the one on your personal feed. Hey, this is a new piece I just created, isn't it great? And schedule the one to run on your professional page the next day or a few hours later, whatever, just to get it out there. Here's another artist that I love, Brian Holland from Minnesota. So he's got Brian Holland Arts, but he's also just got Brian Holland. So he posts things both places, and he is pretty good about, you know, the things on his personal page are really, here's a piece that I just created, here's something I did a while back. The other one is really much more thoughtful, and he thinks of it like he's running a business. So that's a little bit more controlled there. So when you create a new piece, you're going to want to post it on both places at different times. So you're going to post it on your personal Facebook page because your friends and family should like it, right? Because they love you and they're going to love your work. You're going to post it on your Instagram because, again, your friends and family like you and love you and they will like it. And then you're going to post it on the Instagram and Facebook for your business. And you can do that, as I said, through the Meta Business Suite. You can schedule those out in advance. And it lets you set them up a little bit differently for Facebook and Instagram. When we're creating things for Facebook, we tend to have a little bit more wording in there. We add more copy. When we're doing something on Instagram, we try and keep the words to a minimum, short, sweet, focus on the image. And Instagram hashtags work much better on Instagram. You know, Steve's great about hashtagging his stuff. He puts all kinds of fun hashtags out there. And when you do that, that helps people find your art. So use the hashtags, tag, if your stuff is going to be showing at a gallery, tag that gallery so that they can help share the love a little bit, and it'll show up to their followers as well. But if you use the tools within the Meta Business Suite, it makes it a whole lot easier. And get in there, play around with it, do YouTube videos to figure out how to get things done. Sometimes it's kind of confusing, but once you get the hang of it, it gets to be pretty easy. So go to the next one. Now, when you go to schedule your posts, play around, find some different times and see what gets better reactions for you. Meta loves to tell me 7 p.m. is a great time when your followers are active and you should post it then. We found the morning or kind of midday works much better. We post something at 7 o'clock in the morning, people who are getting up in the morning, getting ready, checking their Instagram feed, they're going to see it and like it. The people who are going to the office, having their first cup of coffee, firing up their Facebook, they're going to see it and they're going to like it. Midday, you post something, noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, you're going to get those people who are kind of winding down at the end of the day, and they'll be seeing those things. And if those people really are active at 7 p.m., great, you posted it at 3, they're going to see it at 7. So that works. But play around with that a little bit and see what works best for you. So, and you may find, again, that Instagram is better in the morning, Facebook's better in the afternoon, just play around with it a little bit. So create posts that really will engage your audience. I did not know Steve Bormas was going to be sitting in the back of the room when I put these pictures here. I don't have room for that in my yard either. So, and I've already got a couple of your pieces. So, but find your brand voice. What's the essence of your art, and how do you want to talk to your fans and followers? And the reason I put Steve up here is Steve's brand voice that he uses on social media is fun and funky and groovy, just like he is. He does little hashtags, about the millionaire hippie, and he has a little bit of fun with everything. But there's always a little bit of humor, Hey Boomer enjoyed his year-long post as a pillar on the community, but he's looking for a new home, and it's just, he has that brand voice. So you as an artist, look at the work that you do, then figure out what your brand voice is and how would you want to communicate that. And then you've got the tools here to do it. And other ways to really engage your audience, especially if you're a visual artist, take good pictures of your work. Visual artists are sometimes terrible about taking pictures of their own art. A photographer, it's great. You've got the tools, right? You're already creating beautiful art, so you can use those photos. But Steve does a good job of taking photos of his art and making it look cool. He posted this picture, and my sister said, "Have you seen Steve's piece in person?" I said, "Yeah." "Is it made of glass?" I said, "No, it's made of fenders off of motorcycles. It's metal." "Wow, the photo makes it look like it's translucent, So that's great. Videos also get noticed on social media. And this is one that Brian Holland did, where he's just showing himself painting a little bit. And it's maybe a 30-second clip of him painting. And he talks a little bit about, his process and what he's doing. But he does these fairly frequently where he shows his process. It's fascinating, If you're an artist yourself, you're going to stop and look at it and go, "Oh, how do you do that? I want to try that technique myself. And if you're a fan, I'm just amazed at the intricacies that he can paint, in these tiny little canvases. So those are a couple of hints to help you get noticed. And look for other ways that you can kind of really just engage your audience. Here's one, another Brian Holland piece where he's talking about, he's just kind of finished the underpainting part of it. And he's not, he's kind of urging you to keep checking back in to see future progress. And then he put this one out there on Mother's Day. Easy enough. It's a mama bear, hey, happy Mother's Day to all the mom bears out there, something fun, light. It fit with his brand voice and gave him a chance to kind of share his work.
Can I just interject one time?
Yeah.
I like to mess around with people all the time and try different things and try my brand voice, so to speak. And one of the things I started experimenting with a couple of years ago is I would do pieces inspired by reggae. And we listened to tons of reggae growing up in college. All my buddies were all into reggae. So I thought, I'm gonna do the I3s. The three ladies that sang with Bob Marley. It sold instantly to one of my buddies. Now I'm picking on people on fishing. It works like a charm. If you know somebody, they kind of like your stuff, you know what they're into, play with them. It's really fun too. It's really fun to fish, and they're gonna come alive.
Yeah.
They're gonna ask you a question, and then to me, that means they took some accountability. So I'll lean a little bit.
Yeah, you absolutely, and we'll get more into that. But those things that you can do to really engage people, and you get them to react to something like, Bob Marley, they love reggae or whatever. You find that hook, and it pulls those people in, and then the more you can do that, I think the better you'll be. So post often. At least 2 or 3 times a week. That seems like a lot, but again, if you schedule them out, it's really not that bad, and don't worry that you're gonna be just overwhelming your audience, because when you're posting the stuff as your business, those don't show up every time. That's, Mark Zuckerberg got to be really rich because he sells ads. So he really wants you to pay to put that in front of that audience. But if you post frequently, I may not see everything that you post, but I might see one of the 3 that you posted this week. And again, that gives me a chance to keep engaged. One of the things you can also do, like the fishing that you're talking about there, ask a question. So Brian did a series last year of endangered animals, A through Z. So every few days he was posting something. I'm up to letter L. What endangered animal should I do? And then as you scroll through, he's got 10 different animals that start with the letter L, and he picked based on which one got the most likes. Brilliant. Because what does Facebook reward? People interacting with your post. So he's asking people to like things and comment, and he gets shared more frequently across Facebook and Instagram. So, and we're here in the upper Midwest, and what do Midwesterners love? We all love a deal. So don't be afraid to have a sale. When Steve comes calling next week, he's going to say, that piece was originally priced at, but I can get it to you for the low price of, right? So, this is Post Pilgrim again. She did a Mother's Day sale, with a featured piece. And Brian Holland did Black Friday and Small Business Saturday with 20% off all of the art on his website. I may or may not have bought a piece from him then. So put the deals out there. Don't be afraid to do that. Again, Jennifer White is great about this. She'll do these end of the month sales and just kind of throw things out there. And she's one that she's never afraid to post too frequently. You know, she's a very prolific artist, and if she creates 10 pieces this week, she's going to put 10 posts out there. So don't be afraid to do that. Rising tides lift all boats. All right. As I mentioned, like, comment, and share other artists' work, because Facebook rewards the algorithms. They reward that interaction. So if you post something and 10 people like it, that's good. If 10 people comment about it, that's better. If 10 people comment and share it, they're going to show that to a whole lot more people. They're going to say, oh, this is really interesting. There's something about that that people like. You'll see sometimes the abbreviation CFBR, commenting for better reach. And what that does is you put a little comment on somebody else's post. Facebook says this must be interesting to people. So whether it's Facebook or Instagram or whatever, they think that's interesting. So the more it gets liked and shared and commented on, the more it gets out there. So here's the challenge for the artists out here is get to know the other artists in the area, like their work, follow them. When Hector puts something out there, comment, post, share it. You know, you come up with some fun new thing that you're crocheting, put it out there, and Laura will share that too. And the more it gets shared and passed around and commented and everything else, it helps bring everything up. And don't just worry about, I'm a visual artist, so I'm going to look for other visual artists to support. You know, Lawrence does music, right? So Lawrence, you put a piece of music out there, you know, I can share that. And then you might share a piece of design work that I did, you know, and it can all kind of bounce around. And really, the more we do that for each other, the better off we are. I'll let Andrew click one more time. Again, you know, here's one, or a couple of posts here. Rayfelds, right upstairs, our hosts for the evening, thank you to them, posted this piece last week right before Sculpture Walk was installed, kind of saying, hey, Steve Bormas is an artist that we sell his work, proud that he's going to be a part of Sculpture Walk, right? So they're helping to share that and lift that up. Again, Post Pilgrim Gallery, Jennifer is sharing this piece by Angela Behrens. So kind of helping to promote each other and share that work around. So, you know, you just look for those opportunities where we can share each other's work and get that information out there. All right, now I'm going to pause a little bit and take time for questions. Yes, sir.
What's the reason to stagger the posts, like for your personal and your business?
The reason, I'll try and repeat the questions too for the people who are watching live. The reason you want to stagger the posts on your personal versus your business is so they don't show up in a person's feed at the same time, just right behind one, right after the other, especially if it's the same piece of art. You know, if you were doing two different things, it wouldn't be quite as bad, but still, if you can spread them out a little bit, that gives you more opportunity for interaction and more chance for repetition in front of that audience. Yes, ma'am.
So one thing I do is I like to share the post from my business on my personal, because I don't like to post on my personal. So
Absolutely.
I find then that way it throws people to my business.
Absolutely, and you can do that. So what she's suggesting is that she will create a post on her business and then share it through her personal. So it kind of pushes everything back to the business end. And that's a good way to kind of help separate some of that. You know, you don't end up with, you know, Friday night at the bar showing up with your business, but your friends still get a chance to see what you're doing with the business too. So if you want to do that, you certainly can. So Andrew, did you have a question? Okay, in the meantime.
A question from, related to that from the online audience.
Okay.
So a question from the online audience was related to that, you know, in addition to that cross-promoting from the business page to the personal page, what are some other of the good practices to gain followers for your business page? Because you're probably going to start having a lot more on your personal page. So how do you kind of push that without, the person says, without being in their face asking you to follow them?
That is a great question. First of all, don't be afraid of shameless self-promotion. So when you create that business page, put it out there on your personal and say, hey, friends and family, follow this, like it and follow it. And at least get those folks behind you. Again, they love you. They should do that, right? You know, that's the least they can do. And then you may want to spend a little bit of money with Facebook. And that's a whole nother thing I could get into. But you can buy ads on Facebook and promote your page with the goal of getting more followers on your page. So you can tell them, I want art enthusiasts in, you know, the upper Midwest. You know, if you sell in a 5-state area, you can do that. If you really only sell in Aberdeen, you can just do that in Aberdeen too. So you can do that. But once you get that business page set up, then you've got the ability to go in and do the advertising again through the Meta Business Suite.
So
Jody?
do you have a personal and a business on Instagram and a personal and a business on Facebook? So you have it on both?
Yep.
And I think there's a set, I don't have both, but there's a setting I think on my Instagram. When I share that, it'll say, would you like to share this on Facebook also?
Yep.
So it kind of automatically does that.
You can do the automatic thing. The question was about, do you automatically share on Facebook and Instagram at the same time? And you certainly can, because again, the overlap in your audience is probably fairly small. I encourage you to do them as separate posts. It does take a couple minutes longer, but again, you can play to the visual nature of Instagram by just doing a few words and a pretty picture, and put a little more verbiage on the Facebook page. And then also, again, the hashtags work great on Instagram. They don't get as much traction on Facebook. So add all those hashtags on your Instagram.
One more from the online audience that came in. This artist, I think it's going to be related to your ads point earlier, but she has mentioned that on Instagram, she's really felt like her reach has started to decline in the last year. She used to have a lot more reach and a lot less. She's heard from other artists and just wondering what advice you might have for reaching the people that already follow you, seeing as they're just seeing fewer of her posts.
Yeah. So that is a challenge. The more of us who are on these social platforms and sharing more things, it does dilute that a little bit. But if you've got if you've got an event that's coming up that you really want to promote, you know, you're going to be at Sidewalk Arts Festival, or you've got an opening at Rayfeld's or something like that you want to promote that, you can use the paid platform and you don't have to spend a ton. You know, a lot of times 20 or 30 bucks could help promote that and get that reach that you are losing, and help, you know, think if you spend 30 bucks and you sold a $1,000 piece of art, that's a win, right?
So I'm wondering about on the posts, when you create the post itself, how many images should you put into a post? So for example, if I'm doing a series of abandoned barns, do I put one barn? Do I put 4 barns, 7 barns, a video and barns?
There's a couple of different ways you can do that. And again, I think, you know, depending on the platform you're posting it on, try a couple of different things. I think on Facebook, multiple photos work fantastic. You know, you can kind of put together the little collage thing. You can do that on Instagram too. If you've got a video that you can put on there with 3 photos, now Facebook rewards that because they want people to watch the video because it keeps them engaged in the platform longer. So yeah, if you can say, here's the video and 3 barns is going to be more attractive than 1 barn. You know, you're gonna just collect more eyeballs that way. So yeah, that's a great point. Thanks.
We had a post that oddly started to go viral all of a sudden. It was a video with music, you know how they like to push that. And it was starting to pick up likes from people around the world. And then we started to pick up in Instagram. Because I think it was an Instagram reel or whatever, started to pick up some people that were in faraway places. And I thought, you know, really, they don't have any interest in what we do at Bronze Age Art Casting, and they felt either fake or like not right. So I made them go away because there was nothing. I just went to their pages, like, there's nothing here that suggests they should follow us. And I thought they seemed wrong. Was that horrible?
No, that is not horrible because you're protecting your brand, right? And unfortunately, there are a lot of those fake people and bots out there that like and follow things, and then they're going to come back later and do something creepy. So yeah, if you see that, you know, that especially it's the scantily clad women or, you know, real hunky guys or something. Yeah, Lawrence, they really don't love you that much, you know. Where yeah, they follow 1,000 people, but like 3 people follow them. Yeah, that's probably a scam. You can just block them. And occasionally you will have someone that will go on your page and post something, you know, either really political or negative or just weird. Don't be afraid to block those and you know, keep them out of there.
Actually, on that note, on the Facebook page for Bronze Age Art Casting is where we run Paul's Art Record, and there was someone who had gone in and posted, make sure when you sign up for a booth at the event, you contact me, and it was not us. And I saw it within a few hours, took it out, blocked the person, and then made sure it was clear. So yeah, there's stuff.
Yeah,
It's like
there's
a
stuff.
totally legitimate person.
Yeah, we do the social media for the local Ronald McDonald House, and you know, they did a fundraiser a couple weeks ago, and you know, you're talking about, hey, there's still a few tickets available. People were trying to, oh, I've got tickets, you know, direct message me and I'll sell you mine. Well, no, and then there are people from, you know, New Zealand or something. No, the Nigerians, you know, who knows? But they're scammy things like that. So you just have to block them. And yeah.
How do you know which hashtags to use? Because there's a lot of hashtags and there's a lot of combinations of them.
You know, again, I think you find something that works with your brand voice. You know, like the one that Steve did with his new piece in Sculpture Walk, you know, it's made out of Indian motorcycle fenders. He hashtag Indian motorcycle. Great. Now, he could find some guy who's really into Indian motorcycles, sees that piece and says, I want to buy that for my backyard because he used the Indian motorcycle parts. So,
Jim, on that note, I didn't hear from Indian Motorcycle, but I did hear from this woman I know in Minneapolis who's a higher up in Harley. And she goes, you know where the headquarters is for Indian Motorcycle, don't you? I'm like, no, I like their stuff. I've done a lot of pieces with it in Spirit Lake, Iowa.
yeah.
Next week is my week to kill myself and try to mess with people and sell my stuff. I'm also going to just force myself to go to the headquarters and knock on the door. That's what I'm going to do.
And show them some of the cool stuff. Yeah. What's the worst that could happen? They buy some art, you know. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I want to do a whole garden. That's my goal.
Yeah. Lawrence.
So, a couple of questions. One, what is the how does the hashtag thing work? You know, like, okay, well, how do you set it up, and how does it benefit and feedback? And then 2, let's say you have a targeted market. like, let's say, for example, you're doing a lot of art, but you really want to be pointing it toward galleries because you're looking to do shows as opposed to individual sales. Not that that's bad, but that's your, let's say that's your target.
Yeah. So the first question about the hashtags, as you go start typing in things, type in things that are relevant to your art. Again, you know, modern art is one that Steve uses quite a bit. You know, found object art. You know, if you're doing you know, crocheting, you're going to do crochet, yarn art. You know, handmade, and whatever kind of feels right for the kind of art that you're doing. You know, fine art photography. And if you're doing the you know, the cool old barns, you know, you say old barns. You know, those kinds of things. You know, the
So what does the hashtag thing work in?
so you hashtag old barns.
Okay,
You know, and then somebody who's a fan of old barns is searching for old barns on Instagram, and they're going to find your photos. So a friend of mine from the Twin Cities, his thing is photographing old signs. He ends up selling pieces all over the world because he uses those hashtags. You know, ghost signs, old neon, you know, vintage neon, things like that. That he puts in there. It's just whatever happens to be appropriate for that kind of art. And then people are searching for it. They'll find that. They'll start following him. And buy the stuff.
It's only relevant to Instagram.
Mostly that's mostly where those really get used. That, you know, some people put them on Facebook, but it's just not as user friendly. Twitter also uses hashtags. You know, so if you happen to be a Twitter person and you're not scared by Elon Musk yet or anything.
So how about targeting?
Oh, and targeting. So again, that might be a case where you would want to do some targeted ads and just reach out and advertise those folks. And maybe social media is not the right place to do that. Even that might just be some email marketing or direct mail or doing what Steve's talking about and put a bunch of art in your truck and go knock on doors, you know. So it's hard to say no to somebody when they're right in your face. It's easy on the you know, phone or an email.
You know different people than I do.
Actually, in this neighborhood, I've had better luck selling tickets to the shows at the Levitt than I have with my own art.
Oh.
Not everybody knows that they're free, so
Yeah, the parking spaces and tickets to the Levitt. Yeah, that's that lucrative business on the summers down here. Yeah.
The markup is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and you might try drink tickets at the Levitt too, you know, because you're going to need these when you get inside, and then they're going to go to the bar and go. Yeah.
They actually do have official drink tickets.
Oh, okay. All right.
If you share your post to your story, does that fill in the gaps for your reach at all, or is it just too repetitive?
No, definitely use the Instagram story to share your posts there too. And they're each going to reach a different audience. You know, there are people who go on Instagram and just go through the stories and they look at all the stories of all their friends, and others who just scroll through the images. So again, by posting multiple places, and you're going to increase your potential reach.
Another question from the online audience. For the assembled group, do any of you post pictures on social in such a way that they can't be taken and used? Do you use watermarks, or do any of you do anything else to protect the work that you post?
That's a great question, and particularly like a fine art a photographer. Do you watermark your stuff when you put it on social?
I don't. Technology's so strong now that the watermarking will eliminate it in seconds. So I don't. I have my logo icon logo in the bottom corner of them, yep. But that can be cropped up as easy as anything else.
Yeah.
So no, I don't. I haven't found that I've lost a lot of art.
I've actually had more art stolen off of walls than I have off of
Oh, okay. Yeah, for the online audience, Lawrence said he's had more art stolen off walls than he has off of the internet, so that's good.
So I've seen a lot recently about groups, Facebook groups.
Yep.
Is that something that, you know, like artists should be creating, participating in, supporting? How do those work, and what level do an individual have to be part of that?
If you can find Facebook groups that are relevant to your particular kind of art, I think it can be helpful not only to promote yourself amongst people who are potential art buyers, but others who, again, there's a couple of photography groups well, there's hundreds of photography groups online, but you get involved in one of those and share some of your work through that. You may find somebody who says, hey, I've been looking for somebody who could do some nice rural scenes for me. I'm in Chicago, and I'm going to reach out to this guy who, I've seen his work that way. So again, the more we can come together as artists and make those connections, it helps everybody. So, yeah.
So, Jim, you've been talking about like Facebook you've been talking about Facebook and Instagram, but a lot of people have at least the access to make your own galleries where you, instead of that being your platform, it can be your platform, but you're pointing people or funneling people to your galleries so that you can capture their email and make them your personal client. Can you talk a little bit about the process of like using the big social media just as a funnel to where you're going?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Lawrence. And that could be a whole nother topic. But you probably should have a website for your business. And it's easy to create one and get something set up. If you don't, I know artists that use Pinterest a lot, and they'll use some of their other social media to push people to their Pinterest page where they can have, hundreds of pictures of their art. But if you've got a website and you've got a gallery of pieces for sale, particularly like you're selling photos that you can, make a lot of them, keep that website up to date and use the social media to funnel it there. So a lot of the Brian Holland stuff, he's pushing people to his website where he's got that gallery. And once you get in the gallery, then you can look at his stuff and say, I want animals, I want birds, I just want his cute little goldfish pictures, whatever. You can sort by size, you got all kinds of options, but you really do control them once you get them to your website. And if you can get their email address, and that first party data is the future of marketing. And as more privacy laws come in, you're going to need that one-to-one relationship with that audience. Steve.
I love to invite people into my studio too, online or whatever. I'll build a ton of things, a ton of pieces to get ready, and then I'll get a card ready or something. My wife will. Anyway, we get everything ready, and then I'll say, come to my studio this weekend. And it'll be one day, but there might be 40 or 50 people that show up. And so many things go. And I bring a lot of little things instead of 800,000 up. Some of those may go, but if you have pieces from 50 to 300, so many people want a little chunk. And to me, I want to go to everybody's studio. I'm fascinated. Everybody blows me away. I can't fathom how they do it, but I've been to hardly anybody's studio. Nobody invites me. You guys are all invited to my studio, but plan on buying something, okay? No, it works really well. When you bring them in, they can see it. And if you're working on a piece, tell them what it is. That's the piece they want. When it's finished, I'll call you. That's the piece they want all the time. It's amazing.
I have fallen victim to your studio days.
His wife too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's my wife goes into his studio. She's coming out with something. I just don't know whether it's going to be a big buffalo head or a fish or.
And Jim and Kara bring things. They're coming to buy something or just see what's going on in the studio, but they have bags of secondhand stuff that they found that they want me to put into a sculpture someday. So
Well, yeah, the glass or acrylic grapes. We brought you some of those, and then the other thing was my wife collected the underwires out of a whole bunch of bras and give Steve a bag of these underwires and said, I don't know what you're going to do with them, but it'll be funky and go crazy. So unlimited potential.
I can't get through airport security anymore with those things. She got me hooked on them. Thank you.
I have a question about in Instagram specifically, and probably Facebook as well, if you have any copy on top of an image. I know there was a change with if you have too much copy, then it wasn't showing it. It was like 20% or something. What do you know about copy over the top of an image and how it affects the reach, I guess?
They have loosened those rules significantly over the last couple of years. So it used to be, yeah, there was a hard, fast rule. Facebook, even if you're paying to put it out there, if it had more than 20% of the image covered with type, they would just not show it. But they've loosened that up quite a bit now, so you can do things, which is great for your art market. Yes. You can say art market this Saturday, and put pictures of the art and people and all of those fun things. So yeah, they've loosened that up quite a bit and made it more friendly for everybody, I think. So, and some of that they were really picky. Like if you had a picture of something with words on it, and then you tried to put your logo on it, they went, no, it's too much words. No, that was there before.
That's someone with an Abercrombie shirt on, totally irrelevant to the picture, and it was like, why did no one see that?
Right.
And I went in and buzzed it out.
Yep. Photoshop can be your friend, yeah.
And then asked me if I wanted, I think it was like to sponsor, do you want to, is this a paid ad? Do you want to have?
Right, yeah, no. Great questions, everybody. I told Lisa when she came in, she was supposed to heckle me from the back.
I'm not heckling, but heckle. The story thing came up, and I don't get Instagram stories, meaning they're really dull and boring, and you sit and you wait for something to happen. So is there a way people should be using those to get more interesting results?
Absolutely, as with anything, the more creative you can be, the better response you're going to get. So if you can take that Instagram story and make it something fun and engaging versus what now? Yeah, I've watched enough of those that yeah, I get it. I think Tana's going to have something fun and engaging on hers. So
I don't use it too much.
Okay. No. Well, when you do use it wisely. So yeah.
Couple of questions from online. So I kind of know the answer to one of these, but the question is, what are the algorithm rules that dictate what posts do well? Obviously, those aren't published, but how do you kind of start to suss some of that information out?
Yeah, so obviously they're really secretive about what those are, and they do change fairly frequently. But the things that we do know is a post that gets more likes, reactions, comments, shares that will move it up in the rankings, and it will just get that's how those viral things kind of start. Is something takes off and they start to feed it to more people and more people and more people because this is obviously good content, whether it really is or not, who knows. But.
So I'm always interested in conversions.
Yep.
Because, it's one thing to have an impact, but if it doesn't convert to something particular,
Again, we gotta do a couple more sessions just on these questions. Yeah. Conversion tracking is something I can nerd out to. It's the idea there is I'm gonna run these ads on Facebook or Google or Instagram or wherever, but I wanna know not only did the person see the ad, but they clicked on the ad and went to my website and they bought something, and I want to be able to track that. So there's lots of things you can build into the ads with these kind of tracking codes that will flow through. And then hopefully you've got a good content management system and data collection point on the back end so that you can see, I sold this piece of art because of this ad. And if you can do that, it's really cool. And for my business, when I show clients that we can do that for them, the old thing about I know half of my advertising dollars are wasted. I just don't know which half. Well, if we can do that attribution where we can really track that down, we can say, this is the half that's working, and let's take all this money and put it over there and make it work even harder. And that's really fun when we can do it. So,
but and you've been talking about Instagram and Facebook, of course.
Yeah.
But I think that the big elephant is YouTube, and I know that's a whole other different subject. But as long as we're talking about, like how do you get impact, especially with all the different things you can do. For example, I ran a couple of portfolios on my YouTube site, and I got way more reactions from that than I did on Facebook. And
new
people that I didn't know.
Yeah, YouTube was one of the things that when I talked to Claudia a couple of weeks ago, I said, right, I've got 15 to 20 minutes, and I right now have about 45. YouTube was one of them because YouTube is a great way to reach audiences, and again, to show visual things. That's really cool. And like the Foundry, when you guys are doing pours, holy cow, that is so cool. And nobody knows what that process is, and it's just that's really engaging. So that's cool. And again, those if you wanted to do the how-to kind of things, and showing the art being created, that's fascinating to people and great fodder for YouTube. And you put it out there and people find it. YouTube is the second largest search engine on the internet, right after Google, and they own it. So
one of the YouTube of all the videos that I did on YouTube, the one that's gotten the most reaction was a film I did on how they make something called bolos, or these knives that they make from car springs in the Philippines. And I did a film on that, and it was like, it was like one of the biggest things I did.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. I would watch that because, that'd be fascinating. But so YouTube is a whole nother thing. Google and search engine optimization and search engine marketing. Again, that could be a whole day or two, and we could talk about that. But any other questions?
So as a small business owner, majority of the people in this room are, part-time artists.
Yep.
How's the best way to do this? Because this, although it takes a couple minutes, even finding a couple minutes can be very tricky. And if you do 30 minutes in a day, it means you're not doing 30 minutes of creating or something like that. What are some tips or some motivations to help us just see
that's one of the things I like about scheduling that time through the Meta Business Suite is you can spend your day creating and find a half an hour every 3 weeks to make 15 posts and get them scheduled and get them put out there, and then spend the rest of your time doing, either your full-time job that pays the bills or the fun job of creating the art that is, what feeds your soul, right? So, yeah, it's like anything. You got to find the time, and it's a pain. Or you find someone who can help you with that. Somebody like Tana or myself, or who can do that. But then you're also spending the money that you were hoping to make off of your part-time gig to make it become your full-time gig, right? So, yeah, I know it's a challenge.
About that is like after you start doing it, if you're doing it like Jim is talking about, you find that you're much more productive because you got a lot of things that you do. They're repetitive when you're setting those things up.
Yeah.
So if you set them up once and like make one, use many, there are all kinds of things you at least for me, I set it up and then I'm just really changing a little verbiage here, changing a picture over here, changing a date and time over here, and a thing like that. But once you have the template set up, a lot of that stuff goes. That's where the 30 minutes.
That's where
hours.
Yeah, that's where the 30 minutes you can get done way more than you could if you sat down to do, 15 individual things. You end up spending, hours versus, the getting them all done at once. So, yeah.
Did you have any more questions?
I have one more brief one, I think. One thing we haven't talked about is Facebook events.
Oh,
Do you
yes.
use events for your drop-in studio parties, or are they, okay? Just some things and tips, tricks about events, particularly things that are like ongoing monthly, or things that repeat. Is it better to create them as individual events or have them connected as recurring?
So Facebook events are a great way to help draw attention to something like a studio day, or like your art market that is what day it is, and you've got 6 months worth of them, only 4. Oh, I'll just give you extra credit. So the farmers market, I always think you're like the same time as the farmers market. So but yeah, you can set those up for something that's recurring, like your art market. I do think if you connect them, that probably gets you better, because it's going to get likes and interactions and grow like a snowball, versus a one-shot thing. Hey, it's this weekend, come on down. Steve's going to be hanging out in his groovy little shop with weird doll heads and pieces and parts, and you just got to see it, But Dad, use those Facebook events to set those things up. You're going to have a gallery opening. The gallery's probably doing a Facebook event. Go ahead and create one for yourself too, to share with your friends. So.
Super work, Jim. Thank you.
You're
this
welcome.
Was terrific.
If you have further questions, here's how you can reach me. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you've got more questions. Happy to help. And thanks for having me.
Great. Oh, you're welcome. It sounds like there's some topics we may be asking you again. So, super. We appreciate it. Thank you for giving your time.
Absolutely.
Well, and thank you all for being here. I just wanted to share a couple things before we depart. Next month will be June 20th, and this will be on Facebook Live. So anybody that wants to tune in to our Facebook page, Watering Can SF, we have a panel, and this one I think will be very interesting. M, who does the Art Collective, will be here, which certainly I think is very important for all of you if you'd like to sell your work. April from Van Art Studio, if you have not stopped down, she's in, what's that called? The Hugh Building, across from Wells Fargo down on Phillips. And it's just during the summer. It's kind of like the art market on First Fridays. And then Andel, who is an artist who is for the last 16 years been selling her work through various art markets across the Midwest. So I think you'll find some people who can give some insight into getting into art events, and somebody who can also then talk a bit about where they go, what they do, how to prepare, that kind of thing. So I think it's going to be terrific. So we have all three of them coming. And we usually do this in kind of 6-month segments. So June would be ending our first half of this year. So we're going to be looking at the next half. And I had asked for some input, and it really came down to the interest is in marketing. So we started pulling some things together, and so far we have the first one, because I think this is very important. Who is your audience and where do you find them? So instead of marketing to everybody, let's narrow it down for you. Okay, so that'll be the first piece in this, that'll be July. Then we have a commitment from Untitled 10 that does pop-ups, and they're going to come in and talk about how you can put on your own pop-up if you would like, how to market, kind of go through all the steps that they do. We will have another art critique that was very well received, so we'll do that at least every 6 months. And then I'm also looking at an artist who successfully is using Patreon, if some of you are familiar with that. And again, just another way for an artist to make money. So some good things, but thank you all for being here. Jim, great, truly wonderful to have you and share your expertise. Andrew, thank you for bringing all the people that Art South Dakota brought to us, and we'll see you all on June 20th. Thank you.